Hey guys, so I'm walking home from the gym. It's about 7 p.m. on Friday the 1st of October. I had what should have been my last TMS treatment today. And the second protocol, I think, is making more of a difference. But I just think the things that are making me depressed are so strong. I'm not sure if this is going to be the one for me. I have glimmers of hope, but I still have that weight of, like the other day I was watching a snippet of a podcast by a guy that was like an expert in neurobiology, and it was about how to raise your testosterone. And he was talking about, he had a friend whose son, they couldn't work out, like, he went off tangent a bit, like he went off onto like dopamine. They couldn't work out what was wrong with him. He was 21, he dropped out of college, he had no job, he wasn't in training, and the guy described him as a failure to launch. And when he said that, I don't know why, but it just felt like an absolute punch in my heart, because that is what I feel like. I'm 32, and I feel like I've failed to launch. My life failed to launch. This is why my 23-year-old personal trainer has had such an effect on me, because in my head, I'm basically still 23, or that sort of age, and my life paused at that time, and I missed out on so much, and that is what has made me so depressed. I think that is in part why I'm so depressed. How do I make peace with that? I mean, the obvious answer is put it behind you and accept that that is not the end of your life. You can still go out and do things, but I'll never be able to do them when I was 20, in my early 20s. Now I've got to do them in my early 30s. And I'll never have that kind of young person's house share with like 5 or 6 other like-minded people. I'll never have those early romantic experiences. I mean, I had some. I'm lucky. Thank God I'm not a virgin, because that would make me feel even worse about myself. But I just feel like there's so much I missed out on, and I don't honestly know how to get over that. So if you have any suggestions, by all means, please let me know. And it still makes me, for some reason, it makes me feel like I'm some kind of social outcast, reject, freak of nature, which obviously affects all of my interactions with people and makes me feel very self-conscious. And I'm sure they don't care. But when I'm with friends and I'm quiet and stuff, like another thing, just last night I was at dinner with a few friends, and this topic of conversation became, what did you watch as a child? And I just drew a blank, nodding along with everyone else's input. But there's this one girl, I think she actually tries to get me involved in the conversation, and she said, like, what did you watch, Liam? And I just drew a blank. It's just like, did you live in a box as a child? Or Did he live under a rock as a child? And that's honestly how it feels sometimes. Like, this might be somewhat of a self-fulfilling prophecy, but I honestly feel like being depressed for so long has eroded the part of my brain that is responsible for recall and possibly even responsible for a sense of self, which, coincidentally, the DMPFC, which the new protocol that we've been trying is targeting, is apparently responsible for a sense of self. And I did have a really weird new perspective on myself on the way home from the first session. Hasn't been quite as strong since then. It makes you just feel completely like a ghost. Like you're just a shell. You have no actual substance as a human being. Like no personality. Everything that makes you you is basically on pause for one reason or another, and it's quite difficult to know how to get it back. And how can I get it back? I feel like I don't know if I've ever had it as an adult. And I don't know how much of this, like me rambling on to myself about all this kind of stuff, reinforces it all. But it's just so fucking entrenched. And I try and think positive, but it's the weight, it's the emotional weight that's the hardest thing about it. And maybe that's gotten a little bit lighter during the course of treatment. But life is feelings, isn't it? All that really matters in life is how you feel. And when you feel completely rotten, your soul is crying. Your soul is just aching. You're in complete emotional turmoil. And it's so lonely because nobody can possibly understand. I'm the only one on this planet, just like everybody else, I'm not special, that has my perspective. What would you do, stranger on the internet? Would you carry on with treatment? Would you try something else? I've been looking at ketamine therapy. All I really want is something that can give me a little shift in perspective. Something that can give me a little, just tap me on the shoulder, and say, Liam, I know you've been walking down this path for a long time, and these grooves are very deep and they're very entrenched, and it feels comfortable, and it feels like that's the only path. But just have a look to the side here. There's another way there's another way to live your life where you're not just stuck in the past and completely miserable and self-loathing 24/7. There is still hope, there is still possibility, there's still potential. You're not terrible looking. You can converse with people quite well. You're able-bodied. You must be somewhat intelligent to have run your own business for 8 years, which obviously has its pros and cons. I think that's another source of my depression. When you're obviously quite a shy, timid, insecure person, you tend to keep yourself to yourself. And when you're running your own business, that is not a good mix. If you're running your own business, you have to make those social interactions happen yourself, because you don't get them at the office, you don't get them with your work colleagues, you don't get them as a natural byproduct of working in a group environment, which most people do. So you have to be proactive and make it happen yourself. And I feel like am totally capable of doing that. But the thing that got in the way is the way I felt about myself. Like, give myself a little bit of a pat on the back for going down to the gym today, but towards the end of the day on a Friday, I'm just waiting for the time to come to go to the gym, and it just makes me feel awkward. Like, everybody else, I put everybody on a pedestal, and I have this view that everybody else is working flat out and they're doing important things, they're making stuff happen, and they're outside of themselves. And then they're booked onto a gym class, they finish work, they go straight to the gym class. And I feel like I'm the only one just sat there at home, not really doing a lot for the last hour of a Friday, just literally counting down the minutes until I can leave the house and get going. I think a lot of it really is my own warped thinking. I am probably my own worst enemy. But I am the only one I have. And as I say, like, if I've been stuck on that path for so long, it's just going to take a lot of work to get your feet out of the mud and step on the smooth concrete, which I'm willing to do, but I just need to be shown how. I need a treatment like TMS to give me the instructions. Because as I say, deep down, however awful I've felt, like, and I've been through this before, I haven't had some kind of horrific upbringing or family tragedy or something, which actually makes it feel even worse, because you think, like, well, what have you really got to be sad about? Oh, you didn't go to uni and you missed out on living in a house with young people. You haven't had a girlfriend yet. Oh, boo-hoo. Well, I've had a girlfriend, but not like a serious relationship. But yes, that is what makes me feel even worse, because I did have all the right ingredients to have the life that I wanted, and I didn't grasp the chance. Obviously makes me feel really guilty. But I'm going to stop this now, and I doubt anybody's watched this. This is totally for my own benefit, and it's also just as a record, just to have something on there. Who knows what my future holds? Maybe, unfortunately, maybe I do. Maybe it's only going one way. At least people will anyone that cares will have a glimpse into my mindset that led to that action. But on the flip side, maybe it will get more of a one extreme to the other. Maybe it will become better than I could ever have imagined, and I have this to look back on to see how far I've come, which will only obviously make me feel even better. We shall see. We'll have to see, won't we? But I still have that deflated feeling most of the time. Like, I don't want to say I don't care what happens, because obviously I do, but I just want it to happen. I'm sick of feeling this way. you think like enough is enough. Let's just get on with the next phase of whatever it means to be a consciousness in the universe. Because this one, so far, has not been very fun for me. But I'm still not ready to give up. Still, for the sake of my family and obviously me, I'm still trying, still keeping as positive as I can.